Hello, and welcome to the RPRY Virtual Gala. I'm Elisa Renna.
And I'm Shmuel Lipschitz. We're so glad you could join us tonight.
Tonight is a special night where we thank the many people who made it possible for me, my friends, and my community to be in school. It was a year like no other, and none of us knew what to do or what to expect. Thankfully, we had the school administration and the MAC to guide us.
Last year, we had no idea what the words COVID, MAC, quarantine, Zoom, Google Classroom, or mental math meant. Most of us never wore face masks before either. We've come a long way from spring 2020 to spring 2021. For example, this is a picture of my mom from June 2020 after 4 months of me and my brothers being on Zoom and in complete quarantine. And here she is in June 2021, thanks to the work of the MAC administration assuring me and my brothers were back in school.
Tonight we will learn and hear from the special individuals who made this school year possible. 3 words come to mind. The first is leadership, which can be defined by providing purpose, directing, and motivation to accomplish a goal.
The second is courage. Courage can be defined as mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty.
And heroes. A hero is defined as a person admired for achievements and noble qualities and who shows great courage.
Our honorees tonight are all courageous leaders and heroes, and we are so lucky to have them by our side and watching over us over the past 15 months. To start our program tonight, please welcome our head of school, Rabbi Lowe.
Good evening. We ask you to direct your attention to the thank yous in the credits on the screen. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible work of our Gala committee and for being so accommodating and for making this event a success. In this week's Parsha, Miriam dies, and the well that accompanied the Jews in the desert in her merit went dry. To provide the Jews with water, Hashem instructs Moshe to gather the people to the rock, which had been producing water for them during their sojourns. We know the end of the story. Moshe and Aaron sin and are punished. There are many explanations, but the mainstream understanding is that rather than speak to the rock, they hit it instead. According to Rashi, the rock of Be'er Miriam was amongst other rocks, and Moshe couldn't identify it. He tried talking to a rock, but it was the wrong one, and that didn't work. So he tried a different rock and hit it like he did after they got out of Mitzrayim. And then water came out. I heard a beautiful explanation from recent RPRY graduates Nathaniel Renna and Avi Stein when they wrote about this Parsha a few years ago. They read a Dvar Torah by Rabbi Eli Scheller that suggested that Moshe and Aaron's sin was that they did not recognize the correct rock. Bnei Israel got water from it for 40 years, and their leaders didn't recognize it? That is a lack of hakarat hatov, of appreciation. If even the great leaders of the Jewish people could take for granted even a miraculous water-producing rock, then certainly it is easy for us to get used to things and then take them for granted. It seems so long ago that we tried to figure out how to continue teaching our students while they were home for 3 months, and to engage them in fun, interactive, meaningful online activities, and to organize ways to see them in person from our cars or their lawns. And then we opened school this year in person, and had to rethink everything from arrival to classroom setup, from lunch to Rosh Chodesh assemblies. But we got into the new procedures, and even this miraculous effort became somewhat routine. Let us not take it for granted. What our students and teachers, parents, and board members did this year to make everything work must be appreciated. RPRY's success this year was based on the enormous efforts of many people, really of everyone in the RPRY community. Our students, for their flexibility and resilience, dealing with all the changes and restrictions, and for putting smiles on our faces every day. Our parents, for their patience and cooperation as the situation evolved throughout the year, and as we had to make difficult decisions in order to safeguard the health of our community and to try to keep school open for in-person learning. Thank you to the board, under the leadership of Tova Renna, which creatively allocated the resources and provided the support, emotional and otherwise, that enabled our success this year. There are many other specific board members and volunteers, especially those who served on the reopening committee, whom I wish I could thank by name. Thank you to our faculty and staff. It is really not possible to understand the pressure and challenge that they have faced this year unless you are a part of it. We thought that RPRY at home for 3 months last year was incredibly challenging, and it was. But all of the courage, dedication, ingenuity, determination, and caring that was necessary to make that successful was needed in double measure once we came back to the building this year. The fact that we have been able to educate our students in person is due to their sacrifice and love. Thank you. Finally, my fellow honorees, Drs. Elliot Frank, Cliff Lacey, and Karen Ebel Avery. Your expertise, compassion, and dedication kept our students safe and learning. The incredible amount of time you spent at meetings and in between them is so appreciated. You have been incredible partners, always responsive and always wanting the best for our students and the community. And Baruch Hashem, you all have great senses of humor, which was also crucial to getting us through. Josh Kaplan, Ilana Bohm, Chana Lukens, and Rabbi Einzig, you have all gone above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis for the past 15 months. Before that, too, actually. Your dedication to the cause, to doing whatever we needed to do, no matter when, during the day or night, enabled our success. And no matter how difficult it became or how many complaints we got, I knew I could count on you to be there by my side, supporting our students and teachers. Thank you. Most of all, I want to thank my wife, Chani, and our kids, Nachi, Moshe, Avi, Yitzi, and Atara. I know sometimes it could seem that you are a lower priority to me than RPRY. Thank you for understanding that your support and patience have allowed me to serve the Jewish community. In the case of this year, under extraordinary circumstances. I am so proud of all of you. Chani, thank you for running our home and caring for our kids, while also teaching and tutoring and quietly helping others in the community. You accomplish more in a day than I do in 2, which is probably why I'm up so late every night. Thank you, Chani. On behalf of all of the honorees, thank you to our families for your support during this arduous and trying year. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Lowe. Next, we're going to hear from Mary Judy, who will introduce the selfless, dedicated, and brilliant doctors that kept the RPRY students and staff safe and healthy this year. Please welcome Mary Judy.
For over a year, the Rabbi Pesach Raymon Yeshiva has been blessed to draw upon the expert guidance of our outstanding Medical Advisory Committee, Dr. Elliot Frank, Dr. Karen Ebel Avery, and Dr. Clifton Lacey. These 3 doctors, all devoted parents of RPRY students or alumni and medical professionals working at the top of their field, have given countless hours of their time to ensure that our students continue to receive a stellar education this year, and that RPRY's teachers and staff have remained safe and able to do their jobs effectively. The guidance of the Medical Advisory Committee allowed our school building to remain open when so many across the country and around the world have been closed. These doctors attended to the well-being of the whole child, keeping safety, academic growth, and emotional wellness at the forefront of their minds. The Talmud states, "Whoever saves a single life is considered to have saved an entire world." And this statement applies perfectly to our Medical Advisory Committee. For their devotion, their care and compassion and wisdom, RPRY offers Dr. Frank, Dr. Avery, and Dr. Lacey our sincerest gratitude and admiration.
To open a school during a pandemic was a new endeavor for all of us. None of us knew quite what we were going to do, but all of us were committed to the fact that we had to keep everybody safe, but we had to keep everybody in school.
The Medical Advisory Committee was convened by Rabbi Lowe to help guide the school in making decisions and opening during a COVID pandemic.
I was immediately willing to do it. It was an opportunity to give back to the school and to give back to the community.
I was blessed to have 2 partners who were unbelievable clinicians and thoughtful, caring scientists.
The chairperson of our committee is Dr. Elliot Frank. who is an infectious disease specialist.
Dr. Karen Avery brought a pediatric perspective, and Dr. Clifton Lacey is a master clinician and had the added benefit of having served as health commissioner of the state of New Jersey.
We came into this conversation with mutual respect, mutual admiration.
The interplay between the three perspectives that we brought was more than additive. It was synergistic, and it gave us an ability to really address the problem very, very well.
We started working together over a year ago, and part of our charge was to research what was being written by some of the experts in this field to be able to come up with something that would work for our community.
The roles and responsibilities of the Medical Advisory Committee were primarily health, safety, and security. But in the back of our minds, there's always the overlap of the responsibilities of the educators at the school to make sure that the social, the emotional development, the educational progress are able to continue. So it's a push and pull in that way.
We didn't always agree, and that was good. We had robust debates, but we always achieved consensus. There was a lot of judgment calls because there wasn't always perfect science to guide us. But at the end of the day, we always arrived at a solution that worked for the school.
I think throughout our meetings and our texts and phone calls, one of the bottom line priorities was safety. Always safety.
Everyone in the building played a major role because ours were just guidances, but the implementation of all these things was the responsibility of the school, and they did an outstanding job in doing all the structural and functional changes that needed to be made to protect the students.
There were so many times when Rabbi Lowe and his administrative staff could have said, we're just not going to do this year. It's too hard. But in every case, they came to us and they said, we want to do it. We don't care how hard it is. Just tell us how we can do it safely.
The school has maintained its mission, and now hopefully the worst is behind us, and we can return to a semblance of normalcy.
In retrospect, we made good decisions to keep the school open. In this community, there was enormous cooperation across different synagogues, across different schools, a commitment to follow scientific advice, which has kept this community safe.
The most gratifying moment is certainly just allowing the students of RPRY to attend school in person. Our students were able to be in school full-time from the start.
And it's been gratifying to watch the kids run into school happy, and you could even see it through the masks.
I feel quite honored to have been included with Dr. Frank and Dr. Lacey, to be involved in this committee with them and to work with them as a peer.
The Medical Advisory Committee really was only a small part of keeping the school open. The honor really goes to Rabbi Lowe, to his administrative staff, to the teachers, to the parents, and especially to the students who always came in with a smile, went with the flow no matter what we threw at them, and managed to keep learning.
At the end of the day, all of us, and I'm sure I speak for my MAC colleagues, we do what we do for the good of the health of the kids and the community. So thank you very much for allowing us to participate and play a role.
Next, we'll hear from someone who dedicates so much of her time, energy, and skills into RPRY. She also likes reading and makes the best pizza and crepes. Here's the president of the board and my mom, Tovarena.
Welcome to our virtual gala. We are so happy you could join us tonight. It was March 10th last year. We had just finished our Purim Seudah, which, by the way, we had alone because we were notified the previous day that our daughter, although she didn't need to quarantine, needed to practice social distancing. I got a text from someone saying, I heard there may be a COVID case in Highland Park. I spoke to Rabbi Lowe, and we called Elliot Frink, who said, there's no confirmed case, we don't need to worry. The next morning, he called me back and said, well, maybe we need to take a closer look. Since then, I suspect they've spoken multiple times every day. By that Thursday, As the situation around us became more serious, Rabbi Lowe made the difficult decision to close school for a week or so. The administration quickly pivoted, having done some professional development a few days earlier in anticipation of this eventuality, so our teachers were as prepared as anyone could have expected for a complete and utter change for how they teach our students, not knowing then that this would last for the remainder of the school year. As the weeks turned to months and March ended, we began to wonder about camp. Initially, we considered virtual camp, but quickly decided that nobody wanted to attend camp on a screen. Our kids desperately needed to be back together. We knew that if we had any chance to open camp, we needed a medical committee to guide us. And Rabbi Lowe identified 3 experts in their field in Dr. Frank, Dr. Lacey, and Dr. Ebel Avery. Our camp director, Rebecca Bick, worked with this committee before we even knew if we would be able to hold camp. And we were so thrilled when we finally got the news that we could have camp. Yeah, it was going to be 2 weeks shorter. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to go on trips, but we were going to be together in person. It was so exciting. When we dropped our kids off on the first day, they were so happy to be together, and the summer was awesome. Shout out to our awesome camp director, Rebecca Bick. In the meantime, we needed to start thinking about the school year, and that was going to be a challenge. The first question, of course, was, could we do it? Should we do half days in and half days remote? Should we alternate schedules? And we quickly realized that the only thing that would suffice was full-time, in-person learning. So now we just needed to figure out how to make it work. For this, Rabbi Lowe built a great team that put us in position to get us to the first day of school. We had our MAC in place already, but there was a lot to cover. In order to open school, it's not just knowing the medical guidance, but it's taking the guidance and translating that into a facilities plan. And how do you take that guidance and translate that to a classroom plan? The amount of details that needed to be thought through and decisions made was unbelievable. The guidance came out around the end of June, and we needed to communicate to our parents 4 weeks before school opened. That gave us about 5 weeks to come up with an entire plan on how to run school during the pandemic. Rabbi Lowe identified an amazing chair of the Restart Committee in Rebecca Sipis, who just so happens to be the co-chair of this gala event, and a stellar group of administrators, teachers, parents, and board members. To this team, we owe a huge thanks. The task was hard. There was an overwhelming amount to cover, but we had a goal, and that goal was to get our kids into the classroom, and we did it. Mrs. Lukens, Mrs. Bohm, Rabbi Einzig, and Josh Kaplan, along with Rabbi Lowe, spent countless hours planning everything, and the first day of school started. That first day of school video, how many of you cried? I actually get chills just thinking about it. It was so exciting to have our kids back in school. And we still probably don't know the extent of it, but we have heard of so many schools that have been remote for such a large portion of the year. I saw first day of school pictures posted in April. And this year has been a huge success because we accomplished all of the great things that make RPRY special. We educated our children, teachers connected with students, we had Mishmar, we celebrated Chagim, we had a sitter play, and the list goes on. For that, we owe an immense Hakarat HaTov to the people we are honoring tonight. Dr. Frank, Dr. Lacey, Dr. Ebel Avery, and Rabbi Lowe, Chana Lukens, Rabbi Einzig, Alana Bohm, and Josh Kaplan. This is a celebration of our school year for all we have accomplished. There are many people who helped make this evening's celebration a success. A huge thanks to our chairs, Rebecca Sipis and Jordy Lipschitz. Their dedication and attention to every detail, and creativity and thoughtfulness will make a meaningful evening for our honorees and a fun evening for all. Thanks to Leslie Ostrin for leading the fundraising charge and to the team of champions. Thanks to Josh Kaplan and the business office, and thanks to all of you for your participation and joining us tonight.
Next up is Mrs. Menashe, who will introduce our next honorees, the professional leadership. These are some of the administrators that work tirelessly to ensure me and my friends continue to learn and grow each day in a safe and nurturing school environment. Please welcome Mrs. Menashe.
Everyone knows that school administrators work hard, but nothing could have prepared our school's leadership for the past year. Tonight, we honor 5 members of our professional leadership team: Rabbi Daniel Lowe, Rabbi Josh Einzig, Mrs. Chana Lukens, Mr. Josh Kaplan, and Mrs. Alana Bohm, who have given their energy and passion to our school in seemingly limitless ways. Facing the extraordinary challenges of the past year, these leaders have kept the education and well-being of our students at the forefront of their minds. How could they keep our students learning, growing, and shining? How could they ensure the safety and comfort of their teachers and staff? How could they attend to the needs of the students learning remotely while still providing a stellar education in the school building? How could they ensure that students continue to develop their social and emotional skills despite the stressors of the past year? Above all, how can Torah values guide us through this challenging time? In the face of every new obstacle, these 5 leaders brought our school to new heights. The Talmud states, "Whoever saves a single life is considered to have saved an entire world." And this statement applies perfectly to our school leadership. For their dedication and wisdom, we, their school community, offer Rabbi Lowe, Rabbi Einzig, Mrs. Lukens, Mr. Kaplan, and Mrs. Bohm our heartfelt gratitude. Thank you.
The last year at RPRY was challenging, to say the least, but at the same time, it was very rewarding.
COVID really allowed us to reimagine and invigorate our program in a very different way.
When we began to contemplate reopening school during this pandemic, a lot of people got involved. We created a whole reopening committee chaired by Rebecca Sipis, but really involving many board members, other volunteers, teachers, administrators.
There were a lot of changes going on. There was no playbook for the world. So we had to innovate from the bottom up.
This year was a challenge to be able to think about ways to do team building programs when you couldn't get too close. And so really along with the MAC, we had to think a little bit outside the box. Like, how do you connect with people when you can't see them? Thinking about a person's body language, thinking about their tone of voice, and how do you use those things then to help you be connected?
Every aspect of the logistics for the school year were planned with intentionality. Choosing the classroom to match the size of a class.
Scheduling the entire day is a great example of where there was incredible challenge. We had to schedule gym, for example, with the 2 second grades having gym at different times instead of having gym at the same time as we had in the past, and all the other grades as well.
Well, we did something called SOS, which was learning Saturday nights. Parents would come to learn with their children in the gymnasium. We had 4-year-olds, they were learning Parsha stories, and we had older kids, we had alumni who came who were learning Gemara. It was a way of getting parents and children to connect and to learn together in the school environment. We had a lot of obstacles, but we figured out how to get around those obstacles.
So this past year, we started a free kosher meal program through government funding. And actually, it was a very great collaborative effort by all the yeshivot in town. And I think a lot of people appreciated it because people are going through some difficult times. And this gave us a chance to lighten the load. And the goal was this year overall to make things as easy as possible on our parents. And this kind of carried through with many of the things that RPRY really tried to do. We just tried to find ways of making it easier for parents who were going through very, very difficult times.
On the one hand, we could see COVID as being very challenging, but we had a lot of positive momentum that we harnessed in order to have a more wholehearted school community.
We had to pivot probably 100 times this year. It kind of showed in the end product that we were able to run efficiently, we were able to run successfully, we were able to run financially.
It takes a whole community to get through something like this, like a pandemic. Teachers were going out of their comfort levels. Who knew about Zooming a year and a half ago? And it showed the students that even, people way older than them are always learning. And that's a good lesson, that learning doesn't end with 8th grade or 12th grade or college. One is always learning.
I think we've all learned many lessons from this. Lessons in resilience, lessons in creativity and flexibility.
The kavod really belongs to the school. It belongs to the parents. It belongs to the students. Working in Jewish education is a role of humility and a role of service.
It's humbling because it's work that I really love. It's working with people and families and children that I really love. I'm accepting this honor or recognition on behalf of many, many people who helped make this year possible.
It's beautiful to have all of us being honored because it couldn't happen without all of us.
It's a great school with incredible children and incredible staff, and I really feel humbled to have been considered and to be a part of all of it.
On behalf of the Medical Advisory Committee of the Rabbi Pesach Raymon Yeshiva and its program in Biblical and Modern Plagues, we are pleased to confer upon Rabbi Daniel Lowe this certificate of expertise in COVID-19 preparedness and response for his dogged persistence in the face of pestilence, petulance, and pests, and in his abiding grace in dealing with us, whose pronouncements may at times have appeared persnickety and downright perplexing. In all seriousness, Rabbi Lowe has mastered the nuances of keeping our children safe and attending to their emotional and academic growth. Thank you, Rabbi Lowe. Thank you.
Well, here I am in front of RPRY, trying to get into the building. What does this say? Must wear a mask. Is there a mask? What's this mask wearing business? Why do I have to wear a mask?
Ask the Mac.
Ask the Mac?
Yes.
What's the Mac? So supposedly everyone in RPRY knows what to do in case of COVID exposure. Let's test their knowledge of the rules of this secretive club, the MAC. Josh, let me ask you the following question. Say a student has had a fever for 3 days, but wakes up on the 4th day with no fever, but coughs 2 times during breakfast, and someone in her class had been sent home only the day before with COVID symptoms, but the classmate's test hasn't come back yet. Should that student be allowed in school?
I don't know, ask the MAC.
Should the student be allowed in school?
I have no idea.
Should the student be allowed in school?
Nah, they should stay home for 2 months at Zoom. Give her extra homework.
Get a PCR test.
What does PCR stand for?
I have no idea.
What does PCR stand for?
Pickle cup reaction.
Purple coffee was.
Pen, crayon, and remote. Powerful chocolate response. Peaches, cranberries, and raspberries.
This is not helping. I need to find a place to get PCR. So we're here at PCR Itchards. Apparently this is where you go for a PCR test that RPRY sends you to. I'm gonna follow the Mac's advice and get myself a PCR Itchards test. Hi, good morning. I'm here for a PCR test.
A PCR test? We don't sell those here.
What? PCR Itchards?
No, we don't have them.
Why do they sell mattresses here? This is a great thermometer. Let's say a student went to Florida for Pesach, but on the way back had a long stopover in Chicago, where they experienced shortness of breath and tightness in the chest. While in Chicago, they self-administered 2 saliva tests and mailed them to a lab in Memphis. After 4 days, one came back positive and one came back negative. What should they do?
They have to go back to Florida.
What should they do to return to school?
They should take a PCR test.
Send them to the OT basement.
I think in this case you should have a rapid PCR test.
Listen, I tried to find a PCR test earlier. It was used as disaster. Everyone made fun of me. I couldn't even get one.
No, not a regular PCR, a rapid PCR. It's so simple, I could even administer it.
You could give me a rapid PCR test?
I do them all the time.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. I can also do a rapid VCR test.
What? Rabbi Isaac, what's that device you're using?
It's a thermometer.
Really? Show me how it works.
Yeah, the Mac has us using it.
How does it work?
Well, we touch a child's heart and it tells us 94.5.
Oh, what does it tell you?
94.6.
Is that her average in class?
That's a temperature.
Oh, temperature. What else can this tell you?
Oh, it tells us a lot about a child.
That Mac sure knows what it's doing. Where did he get all these incredible ideas from? I've got to unlock this mystery. What's the Mac?
Mac and cheese, your favorite dinner.
What's the Mac?
Never heard of it.
Isn't it a type of truck?
I don't know, but I have a MacBook.
Mona Helena, what's the Mac?
Oh, the Mac. We have a song about that. Ready? Oh, McDonald's.
Josh, is it fun helping run a school during a global pandemic?
Rabbi M, I am living the dream.
Mrs. Bohm, this is a very complicated year in this school. There's so many rules to follow, and how are the kids handling it?
The kids are really very resilient and flexible. They're just so happy to be able to be here in person with their teachers, learning live from them and with their friends.
But how do you know what the right thing is to do?
Well, we
medically speaking, you know.
Check in with the MAC. They've been really awesome at guiding us through how to handle basically everything this school year.
There you go with the MAC again. Who are these mysterious people and where are their headquarters? We have to find out. I found the MAC mobile. Well, we did it. We're here. We found MAC headquarters. It's been hiding in plain sight in Menlo Park Mall in the Nordstrom on the first level. But we're here and we're going to find out their little secrets. These are some very fancy nasal swabs. I hope they work. I hope they're comfortable. So let's say a 6th grade boy whose younger sister attended a birthday party indoors, and then someone else at the party was diagnosed with COVID. Can the older brother go back to school?
No.
Does this metallic eyeshadow protect from COVID? I thought they stopped calling it primer. It's called kindergarten now. You know, something tells me this is not the place I was looking for. They just don't seem to have the answers at this MAC headquarters. We have to find the real MAC headquarters. Finally, after a grueling search, we have finally located someone who admits to being a member of the MAC. Doctor, we thank you for your service this year. We know it's been very grueling, but things, thank God, have been running very smoothly. But please tell us, for the record, who's the brains behind your operation? Who's the number one?
The children are our number one priority.
You're not going to spill the beans, are you?
Beans must be quarantined for 7 days after they're spilled.
Doctor, so you supposedly have some type of expertise in infectious diseases?
Well, something.
Now, come on, let's be honest. Isn't this whole COVID thing a left-wing conspiracy designed to subdue us and control us and restrict our God-given freedoms?
Oh my God, you figured it out.
I knew it.
And
I knew it the whole time.
We cornered the market on these nasal swabs.
Ah! Who is the brains behind this operation? Who's pulling all their strings? Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Mr. Mac!
Actually, Dr. Mac.
Dr. Mac?
I thought Mr. would be a little more relatable. I don't want to scare any of the kids.
All this time you've been working undercover?
Hey, it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. I could sniff out COVID particles better than anyone in this building. We got to keep these kids safe.
And all this time we all thought you're just a gym teacher here.
Hey, physical education. Gym is the room, physical education is the job.
Listen, we all care about each other. We're all in this together. So what else do you have to say?
Well, don't forget, Rabbi, tomorrow's Rosh Kodesh, and we have the extra part of benching, so I just don't want you to forget.
Thank you. All these systems and rules and regulations, it's so exhausting. Why do you do it all?
Why do we do it all? Why does our faculty, our staff work so hard every day? Why do our parents and everyone make sacrifices, and our students? For the learning. It's for the learning. Just look at all the learning that's going on this year, Baruch Hashem, in person. It's all worth it.
It's all worth it.
Although this ends our program for tonight, our appreciation and respect for our honorees continues and strengthens each day.
So on behalf of myself,
My family,
my friends,
my teachers,
my classmates,
and my community,
we
say thank you!